G'day everyone, Audi555 here. In today's video I'm going to be installing this Aiuchi C601 on my 450MT. This is part 2 of the video series, and in this video I'm going to be doing the full installation of this onto the motorcycle. In the first part I already covered the basic unboxing and the installation on the mount, and in this video we're going to continue on where we left off. Now if you're interested, I've got these bullet connectors. They're from Supercheap Auto. The size is wire 2.5 to 3 millimeters with a tab of 4 millimeters. So that's them there. And these male bullet connectors fit perfectly to the accessory port connectors under the seat and in the front of the motorcycle. So this packet's got male and female connectors. You'll only need the male connectors for this installation on this bike. I said this in my last video, but just in case you skipped to this one, the accessory ports on the 450MT are keyed to the ignition, so they only output 12 volts when the ignition is on. The Aiuchi navigation system has 3 wires for the power. Because this is keyed to the ignition, I'm just putting the yellow and red both on the positive and the black on the negative. But if I was to run this off the battery with the negative and positive, I would then have to get the yellow wire and connect that to something that turns on when the ignition is on, so that way it knows to cycle the power on and off based on where the key is in the ignition. So the advantage of these bullet connectors is you can just push the wire in and then crimp it on with some pliers, and there's no soldering involved, so it's done and dusted really quick and easily. So that's crimped on. And when it comes to these two, I'm going to crimp these into the same connector because this is already keyed to the ignition, so it's 2 birds with 1 stone. But like always, you've got to check that it works. So will this fire up? Yes, it does. Now this part of the installation is the part that everyone balks at. It's removing the side panels, working out which is the best way to route things, and can be a bit disheartening if you don't know what you're doing. So my advice would be to watch a few videos first on how to remove the side panels, see if anyone else has made a tutorial, and this is probably why you're watching this video, and learn from what they've done and learn from their mistakes. I'm going to have mistakes as I go through and install this. You know, I'll probably do something that would be better to do it in hindsight a different way, but, you know, learn from it and take it away, I guess. But it's okay if you make your own mistakes. Like, to take this panel off here, I've got to take off my crash bar. Now, I did watch some videos on this, and there's a couple of screws you got to do, and just had to take this bolt out and the top bolt from the upper crash bar. I've still left the lower one in, it's just loose, and then that's enough to get it out of the way. There's another hidden Phillips head screw, it's right here. So that is what's holding this side panel on. Luckily I didn't just wrench it off because it would have probably snapped it out. There we go. So this has got a quick release clip on the other side of the indicator there, where you can just push that tab and pull that out, which is good, which makes removing that panel super simple. If you are trying to get to the front 12-volt auxiliary power ports, they're actually under here on this side. So here's another view of those accessory ports. I'll just pinpoint the flashlight onto that. Now comes the most difficult and time-consuming part of this whole process, is trying to route these cables through. So my plan is to have them coming up there, through the gap in the top, inside the headlight here, bring them down and around, and then put them up underneath this blue panel, and then have them routed underneath there for the power. If I can't route that through there, then my best option then is to tap into that front accessory port for the power, but we'll try to avoid that if I can, so I can save that port for my heated grips that I may install in the future. So it's very tricky to get this front bit off. It's probably as simple as undoing a few bolts, but I just don't know. So I'm just making it simple by feeding the power end in. Alright, that's now inside that blue panel, and it just runs straight through. And it's not going anywhere because the blue panel is holding the cable in place. Now I've just got to pop this end up through there. Right, so I've just got a zip tie, and I'm going to poke that through to try and work out a way to feed that cable out. And you see it's poking out the bottom here now. So all I have to do is attach the cable to this and pull it up. And there we go. Super simple and easy. So the hard part is going to be making sure that this cable doesn't get caught in the mechanisms when I raise this up and down. For the GPS antenna, I would have liked to have put it up the top here on the underside of that, but it's going to impact the mechanism for raising and lowering the windshield. So the next best solution is just putting it somewhere where it's nice and flat and can face the sky. So I'm just working out that I can just stick it to the back underneath here. I'll clean that out and pull the tape off and stick it, then it will be done. Now to install the 1080 camera at the front of the bike. Now we mount the camera to the front or the rear of the bike, it's up to you. And it's pretty easy to do, it comes with this mounting bracket. And there's a little arrow at the top of the camera. That means that is the top of it, so that way you can mount it the right way up. I'm just going to mount it underneath here. Front camera's installed, now to tidy up the cabling and move on to the next bit. The last bit to install is this lock or home button. I'm not too sure where to route this because obviously I don't want it inside the headlight and I'll probably want that on the handlebars. So I'll probably end up putting it through here, then sticking it back up to run the cabling up around there. But until I've made up my mind where I want this button, I'm just going to leave it dangling just on the edge here. It would be a problem for me to figure out later. Now I'm just screwing and clipping these side panels back onto the bike. Okay, so now I've got all the wiring sorted out on the bike. It's important now to install the optional SD card. Now, I say optional because you can run this unit without an SD card in it, but you won't have any of the functionality of recording from the camera if you don't insert a SD card. The SD card inserts at the bottom of the unit. You unscrew this panel and then insert the card. Well, there we go. That wraps up the installation of the AUG C601 Android navigation device for the motorcycle. So let's turn it on and see if it works. And there we go. It does take a little bit to boot up, but once you're up and running, you're good to go. You can see here it's got a very nice display. Everything seems to be working so far on it. So the next thing we need to do is actually do some real life testing of it. So what I'm going to be doing now is updating all the apps on there, connecting it to my home Wi-Fi, and then I will actually use the device in the upcoming video. I'll be using it without my phone as well as with my phone, so you can see what functionality you get in either option. Well, that's it for today's video on the installation of this awesome device for the motorcycle. So, as usual, keep safe out there on the roads, down to wheels, not on your head, and I'll see you all next time. And do watch the review on this because it's going to be good. All right, see you next time. Bye.